Good morning, Excellence family. Today is Title Tuesday, and I am here with our title attorney from Xcellence Title, Paul Sarone. Paul, thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know that you've been busy, and we do appreciate any tips and guidance that you can provide to our Excellence family agents. Today, we want to talk about a topic that we've seen come up a little bit, and it is around when you have a corporate or LLC as a seller, the corporate entity, limited liability company as a seller. Share with us, Paul, what we need to be looking for. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here and happy to talk about this topic because it is something that comes up a lot of times, at closing, or sometimes I get the call before as an agent. When you're taking a listing from an LLC or a corporation, a lot of times people are dealing with one member of that company. Sometimes it's not an issue. It's a single member LLC, and that person basically is the LLC. But there are a lot of cases where it could be basically like a partnership between several, either companies can own an LLC or individuals. And in that case, you have to know who is authorized to sign on behalf of the LLC. So it's not as simple as just doing a check of Sunbiz and saying, okay, this guy that I'm dealing with, I see his name on here, it's legit, he can sign. Because even though people don't do it, it's the way you're supposed to do it. Is when you have an LLC, particularly one with more than one member, is not just going on Sunbiz and filling out the paperwork and getting your name approved and getting the LLC open. That you do have to do, but when there's more than one member of that LLC, you don't have to, but it's strongly recommended that you have an operating agreement where it details who owns what percentage, who put in what money, who is entitled to of any proceeds, and also, most importantly, on our end, title-wise, who is authorized to sign on behalf of the LLC. So it happens, more often than not, where we get to the closing, we prepare the documents, and I say, hey, we need an operating agreement. Oh, we don't have one. Okay, if not, then you need a corporate resolution signed by all the members. What's on Sunbiz isn't necessarily a reflection of everybody that's on the company. You can be an owner of a company and not appear on the Sunbiz. It's at the time you create who the members are, but there could be people that are not managers or members, or in a corporation sense, they're not officers of the corporation, but they've put in money and they have rights. There's an agreement. So it's important. It's kind of confusing for agents, especially when you're taking the listings. Some agents have called me and said, hey, I want to make sure that this person can sign the listing agreement. And I always say, don't just go by Sunbiz and don't just go take their word for it. Ask them. The two main documents will be either a corporate resolution signed by all members saying, yes, the corporation has met all the members and we've resolved that this person is authorized to sell this property on our behalf and sign all documents. That's fine. And then if not, an operating agreement where it states that that person that is signing is the only one that needs to sign, because it has happened countless times. I can't even tell you how many times where we are preparing seller's documents and this person says, no, I sign. And then it turns out that they both have to sign. Sometimes it's not just one person that signs, and it requires two members or three members, and we have to amend our documents. But it's important because that protects your buyers. So, sometimes we're not just doing it to be a pain in the butt. We're doing it because imagine a scenario where your buyer purchases this property, the seller, the president of a corporation, and we just take his word for it. All right, you're the guy who can sell it. And then later on, another partner or member of that company sues and says, hey, there was no right to sell. Now the buyer has a title issue. Title insurance will kick in, but nobody wants to deal with that. So that's why it's super important to know. And then a lot of times, you get into people, especially that have significant assets or properties, they'll create, XYZ LLC where it's owned by two other LLCs or three other LLCs. Sometimes there's layers to it, and that's done for different reasons, mostly liability purposes or maybe tax purposes, which is fine. There's nothing illegal about it, but that requires extra due diligence on our part and on the part of the agent, because if you're signing a listing agreement and the owner on public records is this LLC, And when you look up that company, you see it's owned by another LLC. Now you have to figure out, okay, who owns that LLC? Who's authorized to sign for them? And it kind of goes on. And sometimes there's 4 or 5 layers to it. There's also scenarios where it's not just necessarily Florida companies. Another very popular state to incorporate is Delaware. People do it mostly for privacy reasons. So if I open a Delaware company, you can't look up online this company and see that I'm the owner like you can here, or see that I'm affiliated with it.
Oh,
So
they
a
don't
lot
do
of
that
times,
in Delaware. I didn't know.
Delaware, you can, but it's not online. It's a difficult process that most people are not going to go through. It's there's more privacy there. A lot of times, people who don't want their assets known or findable, sometimes by creditors, or it could be an ex-wife, it could be a business partner, it could be just they don't want to know. They're just a private person. They don't want people to know they have these properties. It could be a Delaware company. There's also even more complicated than that. Some people incorporate overseas or out of the country, like British Virgin Island Corps. And then that's a whole other thing, because now we have to get documents certified over there, and those are not easy to get. So that's why it's important. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but when you have corporate sellers, it could be very simple, single member LLC. They're going to sign, no big deal, to the point, or it could be one of these, kind of like foreign shell company situations, which requires more time and effort on our part to make sure that we're protecting the buyers and we're getting the right people to sell. Nowadays, with the amount of fraud, you can never be too careful. The number one fraud is companies, somebody posing as a member of a company, selling the property and taking the money. So you have to be extra careful. Unfortunately, creates more stress and work for all of us, but that's also why we're here. So it's just something to look out for when you're taking the listing, or when you're under contract already and getting ready to buy a property or sell.
And I think that's key, because we've come across a few where we found out we needed 2 or 3 additional signers, and those signers were not available. They were not in the country. So I think just upfront, knowing clearly who is authorized to sell, who can sign, will they be here? And then we do the job of coordinating that. Again, not to make your lives difficult, but to make sure we're delivering a clear chain of title to your client. So we're doing all this behind the scenes, right?
I would love for everybody to be a single member LLC. It makes my life a lot easier. We don't make any extra money off complicated companies doing a sale. More work, but it's what we have to do, because the most important thing is making sure that title is clear, buyers protected, and not going to have any issues in the future.
And that's our ultimate goal, to deliver that clear chain of title, make sure we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's. And so I appreciate that. As always, we always encourage you to reach out to us as Agent Concierge. I'm here to assist. You can dial the corporate line. You can reach us by email. The corporate line is 305-595-7355, the option for title. We're here to support you. Paul is amazing and very supportive. Any questions that come up, run by scenarios, just so we can get it structured properly, so that we don't have, any hassles at closing, and everyone has a better experience from the beginning. We know upfront what's needed, and then we bring it to a nice fruition at the end with a clean chain of title. Paul, thank you so much, as always, for your support. And I know we will be calling you with our questions.
All right. Thanks, Christina.
Thank you. Wish you all a great week. Take care. Bye.